Ever wonder what supplies I actually use all the time? Well, today I'm pulling back the curtain and showing you my go-to adhesives, papers, tools, and a few scrappy little obsessions that make my journaling life a whole lot easier. Stick around, pun fully intended, for a behind-the-scenes peek into my supply stash. Hi, it's time once again for coffee, crafting, and cats with the Ginger Cat Lady. I'm Pam, and Harley, well, he is currently back home holding down the craft fort, probably sleeping on a stack of my paper stash, but I get to see him again tomorrow. I can't wait for some snuggles and meows while I dive back into my full stash of supplies. Today is day 19 of hashtag ABC April 2025, and S is for supplies. And let me tell you, trying to decide which crafty supplies to pack for a trip, that's a serious challenge. So I thought this would be the perfect time to share what actually made it into my travel kit and why. These are the things I just couldn't be without, even on the road. Let's start with tools for trimming and cutting. I brought two pairs of fussy cut scissors with me because yes, one spring-loaded and one regular. Sometimes a girl needs options, right? The other tools I brought with me for cutting and trimming are a large pair of scissors that are spring-loaded, a craft knife, and a ruler. Wait, what? No paper trimmer? Nope, not enough room for that. The large scissors that I have are perfect for cutting straight lines, and the ruler and craft knife cover the rest of it. I like to use a ruler with a T-square because I know what I cut will be straight without having to measure. I also did bring along a small metal ruler that I like to use for trimming by tearing papers, but I think that it might have decided to go on a separate vacation without me because I can't seem to find it anywhere. All right, so those are my tools that I used for trimming. My next must-have supplies are ink pads and ink daubers because what is junk journaling if there's no inking involved, right? My favorite go-to ink pads are my Distress ink pads in tea dye and vintage photo. These I have been my trusty go-tos even when I was scrapbooking many, many years ago. So those have always been my favorites. I also brought with me some archival, well, they're Distress archival inks in black soot, vintage photo, and ground espresso. These are good for stamping something that I want to color in with a marker or with my watercolor pencils. And these two are my go-tos for adding that vintage feel by inking it. Okay. And then of course my daubers so that I can do my inking. I did actually get to bring a whole lot more ink with me, but that was only because of this handy little marker storage box that I got from Dollar Tree. As you can see, there's a lot of room in this box, and it allowed me to bring some of my other inks with me because I was also going to use the inks to do some other things with my watercolor brushes that I have. So that's why all of these came along with them. Um, So that is my selection of inks and daubers that I brought with me. The nice thing about this case is that it also allowed me to fit my stamp block in, which we will talk about later, but I'm going to go ahead and put that in here right now so that it is all packed. And finally, the various other tools that I can't live without. I can't live without my bone folder, along with my weeding tool. This is just a weeding tool from some vinyl that I use when I use my Cricut. It has a pointy end. It's really helpful for like lifting up the edges of stickers and that kind of thing. You don't have to have a weeding tool, just some sort of a pointy tip. I've seen some people, Margaret at Seven Plaza uses an old hat pin that also has a thicker pin and it's got a bigger head on the end of it and has a pointy part where you can lift things. So anything that is pointy that you can lift, even if you just used a regular straight pin, that would work. Okay. I also brought along my mini stapler and my reverse tweezers, because honestly, these are basically my third hand while I'm crafting. They hold things tight for me so that I can add the glue. They're great for putting your string when you're tying the signatures of a binder or signatures of a journal together. After you've stitched them, it's nice so you can do that first part of the knot, stick that in there, and then tie the rest of the knot a whole lot easier. So those are my other tools that I brought. Oh, and we cannot forget the underrated baby wipes. These are a must for sticky, gluey fingers, for cleaning up ink off of your ink pads, your stamps, that kind of thing. And my very last, which is not a tool, but is a definite must have for me, is my washi tape. There's always a little bit of room for a little bit of washi tape, right? Well, maybe that's not so little. That actually is quite a bit of washi tape. But hey, it doesn't take up that much room in my suitcase, right? I mean, come on. Now, here's the thing. This tiny stash actually works great as a beginner supply list too. If you're just getting started in junk journaling and feeling a bit overwhelmed by all the supplies out there, these basics are more than enough to create something amazing. There wasn't once in this trip that I said, oh, I wish I would have brought this, or I wish I would have brought that with me. I had everything I needed. I do, however, have things that I thought, why did I bring this? Because I didn't even use it. I thought I might, but I didn't. So these were the absolute basics that I felt I needed on my trip. And I feel that they would also be perfect for any beginner. You don't have to have a paper cutter right away, because scissors, a ruler, and a craft knife are very basic, cheap tools that you can buy quickly and then work up to saving to get that more expensive, nice paper trimmer. And if you're planning to craft while traveling, here are a few tips from someone who definitely overthought this. First, try to plan your projects in advance so you're not bringing your entire studio with you. Think about what you really need that you have at home versus what you might be able to pick up while you're on your trip. Like, you might be able to go to a thrift shop and find an old book that you can use if you want book pages while you're there. You could go to a craft store and pick up paper if you don't have paper that you already wanted that was specific for what you were going to be working on. There's a lot of things that you can pick up on your trip that you don't need to bring with you, that you may be able to use up and not have to bring back with you, kind of thing. And most importantly, organize. I used zipper bags to sort the things by categories, and let me show you what I have. Okay, for my storage solutions, the zipper bags that I brought with me were a bag that had fussy cuts that needed to be cut out. On this side are the ones that I've cut out so far, and then there's also the rest of them that I haven't cut out. And the nice thing about this too is that my ruler, well, it fits in here if I put it in the right way. My ruler can go in and my large scissors can go in. So those are easily stored as well. Then I brought along a bag for storing ephemera. This smaller bag in here has some ephemera that I made while I was on my trip. Then I have a bag that I have, excuse me, some sheet music and some digital papers that I brought with me that didn't have any specific purposes, but I thought I might need for some of the projects that I was going to work on. I brought along an empty one that I could store my scraps in. I like to be able to get to my scraps a lot easier than having to dig through the other things to find it. So this has the scraps that I've created since I got here for the, on the projects that I've been working on. This one has the things that I had planned to work on. So I thought about certain projects that I wanted to work on, and I gathered those materials together and put them into this one. So I knew specifically where they were and that everything for that project was in one spot. If you have a lot of projects that are big, then you could essentially use a bag like this for one project instead of more than one project like I did. This one had several projects in it. And then I brought along a bag that has stamps in it. Now, I brought along a lot more clear stamps than what I actually needed. The clear stamps that are in this bag right now are the stamps that I brought because I knew that I was going to be creating ephemera, because I was doing E is for ephemera for the ABC April 2025 challenge. So there's a lot of stamps in here that I didn't need to bring with me, but let me show you the ones that I brought because they were the ones that I thought would be most useful for what I was going to be working on. So I brought, and these are all Temu stamps. I do not know where to find them on Temu, and I apologize in advance if any of these are dupes of somebody else's stamp. So I brought along this because it has some good background type stamps that I could use. I brought this one because I'm traveling and I wanted to work on my travel journal while we were here. And then I left the stuff that I wanted to use for my travel journal at home. So these didn't end up getting used. But typically these stamps for my travel journal and these stamps for my travel journal as well. And then finally a text stamp that I can use as a background stamp as well. And then I did also bring along, which is down there on the floor and too hard to get to, my little stamp block that has my splatter stamps on either side of it, so that in case I needed that one as well. The one last thing I wanted to talk about is my storage hacks. Other than storing the main things that I'm using in these zipper bags, my other storage hack is makeup bags. Makeup bags are perfect for storing your tools, your washi. This one from Australia that I got when we were here in Australia last time has all of my washi tape in it and room to grow in case I wanted to buy some more. And this one has all of those tools I showed you, except for my large scissors, my ruler, and my Barely Arts. My Barely Arts goes into something separate because I don't want my little pen to get, all bent up, so it doesn't go into this makeup bag. And then my one other hack that you already saw is this marker case from Dollar Tree to store my inks in. And I love it because the lids do not come off. There's no room to move and the lids do not come off. It works absolutely perfectly. I love it, love it, love it. Oh, the one last thing that I did bring with me, and again, this is not a necessity. I brought my paper pad from the paper studio Theodosia Square, only because the colors in this are the same colors that I'm using in my ideas journal, which I also brought along with me because how do you work in a journal if you don't have a journal with you? However, you could find a store in the city that you're traveling to that would probably have papers that you could purchase as well. So yeah, this little travel kit has kept me happily crafting while away from home. And it's kind of helped me realize how little I actually need to make something that I love. Does that mean I'm going to purge the things I have at home? No. They all have a purpose. They all have a reason. They just didn't need to come with me on my trip. So let me know in the comments, what are your must-have supplies when you're crafting on the go? Okay, well, it's time for me to start packing all of this up so we can head home tomorrow. So if you enjoyed this peek into my portable stash, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up, share it with your crafty friends, and subscribe so you don't miss a single moment of paper-fueled chaos, because Pam typically equals chaos. Just saying. And as always, may your scraps be endless and your glue never run dry. See you in the next one. Bye.